Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Study Abroad for History Majors webinar. My name is Eric Izagirre, and I'm an International Programs Advisor from the UCLA International Education Office. The IEO is the one-stop shop for undergraduate study abroad opportunities. At our office, you can consult with our study abroad advisors and coordinators, and we can connect you with study abroad programs as well as peers and resources for study abroad. Today, I'll be leading the Study Abroad for History Major session as part of our Global Learning Opportunities Week. And during this week, we're showcasing a number of study abroad related resources and unique opportunities, as well as funding for study abroad. In this session today, we'll be covering the following information. I'll talk about a little bit of the COVID-19 impacts on study abroad, and then we'll go into some very brief study abroad 101 refreshers, how to study abroad in your major, talk about some sample programs that may be a good fit for history majors, and we'll do a Q&A with study abroad returnees. So at this time, I want to acknowledge the impacts that COVID is having on study abroad. As of today, or as of this recording for those that will view it at a later time, summer 2021 programs and on are scheduled to run. We are continuously monitoring the safety abroad. In addition to our partners like UCAP, we're looking at world events and continuously assessing the safety of our programs for our students and faculty abroad. We're also sensitive to your student timelines. So there's a considerate go or no-go decision as to whether or not a program will actually run. And there's some limited opportunities for students enrolling in UCEAP programs during the academic year to maintain their UCLA enrollment for the term they plan to study abroad for an extended period. There are also some virtual alternatives for select programs. Our coordinators are developing virtual alternatives should in-person fall through for UCLA's summer faculty-led programs. And we also ask for flexibility and patience in this environment. More than ever, students who desire to study abroad in the near future will need to be flexible as factors outside of our control may change your plans unexpectedly. And when it comes to your passports, we ask that you renew or apply for a passport as soon as possible. The US Department of State has an extensive backlog of passport applications right now, and it's currently taking longer than their usual 6 to 8 weeks processing window. So we strongly encourage students who can to apply for or renew their passport now or ASAP to ensure they have a passport in a timely manner. A handful of programs will require students to secure a student or visitor visa before departure to enter certain countries. And this may actually require you to have a passport well before the departure date for your program. So this information is mostly for US citizens traveling with American passports, but similar delays may be occurring with your nationality's passport processing offices. Now for some Study Abroad 101 refreshers. As far as the webinar distinction, really the session is focused on what are history major requirements, how can you study abroad as a UCLA history major? So we're not really going over what's covered in the 101. Hopefully at this point you've already watched the Study Abroad 101, but just in case you haven't, we're going to be covering a couple of brief reminders about what's in there. So as a UCLA student, you can experience a spectrum of study abroad opportunities, and there's really no one type of study abroad or time to study abroad for everyone. You can do a traditional university immersion program where you study at a local university with local students and other UC peers. You can do a UCLA faculty-led program, which is experiential courses on the go with UCLA professors over the summer. And I'll actually highlight a couple of these unique opportunities that exist within the history department at UCLA. And you can do an internship or research abroad for academic credit. And there is also some cohort programs where you study abroad with a cohort of local and host university students. And then your entire cohort comes back to UCLA for summer session C. We also have UC Center programs where you have courses abroad exclusively with and for UC peers. When it comes to the question of financial aid, eligible students can use financial aid to cover the costs of their UC-affiliated study abroad programs. It can be comprised of any combination of grants, scholarships, and loans. And some grant funding is limited for summer programs, so keep that in mind. And generally, you must take a minimum of 8 units in order to be eligible for aid. When it comes to the application process, You would apply as early as 9 months before the start of the program and potentially as late as 4 months before the program starts. The deadlines do vary by program, so I always encourage folks to connect with our office just to check what kind of timeline you would be working with depending on the program you're most interested in. When we're looking at if it's competitive or not, generally, no, these programs are not competitive. Most are first come, first serve though, and they can fill up if there's a space limit. But there are not always space limits. If you're interested in applying or registering for a program right now, summer and fall 2021 programs are now open and winter spring 2021 programs open in winter quarter. Now we'll get to the details of studying abroad as a UCLA history major. But before we get into that, actually, I just want to clarify that you're not required to study abroad in your major. There's no obligation as a history major to study abroad. You can take GEs while abroad. You can take courses for a minor, foreign language courses, or just earn units for graduation, or simply do it for your personal or professional enrichment. You're still making progress towards your degree regardless. Besides the travel study programs I'll mention, programs aren't typically designed for a history major, but many offer history courses in addition to other disciplines. But at the end of the day, if you want to study abroad in your major, we have some guidelines directly from the history department. So what they've shared with us is that pre-approval is not available before you go abroad, meaning you can't verify before going abroad if a specific class can count for your major. So how will you know which courses can count for your major? For the history department, it's fairly simple. It must be listed as a history subject course. So in other words, are the classes you want to take abroad, are they history classes? If the answer is yes, you will likely receive major credit for those courses. The history department can accept lower division credit for major prep courses and upper division credit for electives. And a maximum of 4 UCEAP courses or 16 units can be applied to your major requirements. And then once the program is done and you have your UCEAP grades, you must petition with the history department to receive major credit. Please note that petitioning does not apply to the travel study or UCLA faculty-led programs that I'll be covering later with some examples. And lastly, you can really go abroad during any term with a history major. Your requirements don't really restrict you in that regard. Any term should work, whether you're looking at summer, fall, winter, spring, or being abroad for a full academic year. Also, it might be possible to receive major credit for research and internships abroad. So if you want more information about that, we can definitely connect you with your history advisor. And these guidelines are also summarized on a document called a Major Academic Plan. And that's been something that we created with the history department. The resource is posted online at the IEO website, but I'll also put the link in the chat right now for your reference. And now we'll get to the GLOW keyword of the day. So as part of GLOW, we are hosting a virtual scavenger hunt using keywords. Today's word is hygge. Visit the ieo.ucla.edu/GLOW website and submit the keyword on our scavenger hunt form by 11:59 p.m. tonight to be entered to win the day's prize, which is a $75 gift card. Winners will be announced the following day and contacted via email provided. So I'll leave this up for 1 or 2 more seconds so you can capture this word, and make sure you visit the IEO GLOW website so that you can enter to win this prize. Now we'll talk specifically about some sample programs where you can receive history credit. The first are the travel study programs that are run by UCLA with UCLA history faculty. And there are 4 programs in total, including a new one about food in Rome and Pisa, Italy. The one I'll highlight first is the History Ancient Greece program. It's 3 weeks in the summer, and you can take 2 upper division history courses for direct major credit, no petitioning required. And they also have the optional History 199 directed research option. The history department also offers a summer travel study program in Paris, France. That's 3.5 weeks. Again, offering direct UCLA history credit, 2 to 3 courses. And there's also another one in Rome, exploring ancient Rome, 4 weeks in the summer, 2 upper division history courses as well. Another type of program is our Global Cities program, where you do summer abroad plus summer session C at UCLA. The locations vary. There's 3 different ones offered at the moment. We have Amsterdam, Barcelona, and Milan. And you spend part of the summer session abroad in one of those 3 cities. Then you come back to UCLA for session C with your classmates from abroad. This is a unique cohort model program, and they offer some history courses that you might be interested in. The final type of program that I'll highlight before we get to our returnee panel is the UC EAP programs. So these are offered during the academic year as well as summer, but you can do a fall semester, spring semester, a quarter, or you can be abroad for a full year via the UC system. The example that I'll highlight is the European Studies program in Germany. In this program, you can spend a semester in Berlin and take courses about the history of Berlin and Germany. This program involves cultural excursions where Berlin becomes an extended classroom for you to learn from and offers a unique opportunity to live with a local German family for an immersive experience. So if you're looking to go abroad for a longer duration of time, this might be a good option. The fall semester runs from August to December, and then spring is January to May. But history majors can participate in more than 100 programs in 40+ locations through UC EAP. Although I did highlight the program in Germany, you can go to Spain, Argentina, South Africa, Japan, Australia. There are tons of locations that offer history coursework. And to illustrate this, I have a history returnee who offered to share their perspective on their experience. So Jungi, could you introduce yourself by stating your name, where you studied abroad, and one favorite aspect of your time abroad?
Hi, I'm Jungi. I studied abroad in Botswana in Southern Africa. And one of my favorite things was being able to go to game reserves in the country, because it's a country of 40% conserved land. So yeah, that was a highlight for me, definitely.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So now we open it up to questions. So using the Q&A tool, feel free to ask any questions of our returnee about their experience, what that was like studying abroad. And you can also post any questions generally about study abroad for me as a staff member. And I'm also joined by my colleague Danielle, who works with our travel study programs. So if you have additional questions specifically about travel study, we have someone here to assist with that too. So as they come up, any questions? I'll give you a moment to do that. And as we wait for any of those to come in, so I actually have a question for you, Jungi. What was that like being abroad for, because it was a full semester, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as someone who did sort of a longer program, what kind of concerns did you have, or what excitement did you have about being abroad for a longer period of time?
It was pretty cool, because semester once you're in the quarter system for your undergrad career, going into a semester is pretty cool because it's really long. It's like 17 weeks, and just the pace is much slower. So it's very interesting. It was a cool opportunity to be able to compare doing a semester and also doing a quarter system in college. And I think the adjustment's fine, just because you're going to usually be with other students who are used to it. And I think the only thing that's different is that it's a lot slower pace, just because it's a 17-week deal.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And one other thing, if we have more questions from folks, feel free to add those in there. Yeah, especially if you have a question for Jungi about their experience. One other thing that often students often students do while they're abroad is get involved in any kind of, either there's community work or internships, or maybe they get involved in like a student group. Was there anything like that that you were able to do while you were abroad?
Yeah, the University of Botswana, there's a pretty active student life. It's this university is located in the capital city of Gaborone. The three things I kind of were active with, I joined the softball team for like the first 2 months until I sprained my ankle, but I made a lot of friends that way. And I also was active in a local church in the city. And the third thing I did was an internship with my program. So I did a program with CIEE, which is a nonprofit that organizes study abroad programs for students. And I did an internship at a local middle school. So I would go 3 times a week after school and help them run a club, help teach, or help tutor. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. It sounds like you definitely were keeping yourself busy while you were there. That's really awesome that you were able to have so many different involvements. I see a question coming in that I believe Danielle, my colleague, will be answering for travel study. It's someone interested in Greece travel study. Who should
Hi,
they
yep.
contact?
So for the Greece program for travel study, if you're interested in registering, you don't necessarily need to do any full application process. Registration will open live first come, first serve on November 18th. So if you go to the travel study website, you can register once we open registration at 7 a.m. starting on that date. Typically, Greece doesn't fill up the very first day, so if you need a little time to figure out anything, that's fine. But I would encourage you to register early just to make sure you're able to hold your spot on the program. I actually visited the Greece program last summer. I was there with them for about the last week, and it's really, really cool option. The faculty are experts in history content, and they really know what they're doing. They've been running the program for over a decade. And in fact, one of the faculty was originally a TA on the program years ago. So it's a really cool way to see a lot of sites firsthand and get to tour around Greece. It travels every couple of days into a new city, so very, very active, and definitely was a rewarding experience for me to see what the students were gaining from it firsthand. I highly recommend it.
Thanks, Danielle. I saw a question come in. So someone asked if they're pursuing a double major or minor, can they also possibly fulfill some one of those requirements? So specifically, can they do non-history requirements? The short answer is yes, but I'll also ask Jungi to share what types of courses were you taking, and were they for any specific requirements, non-history or history?
I took one history class at the university. I studied abroad when I was a senior, so I actually didn't have much in the way of requirements left. So I took a lot of classes that I would never have taken at UCLA. One of the classes was the internship. Another class was cricket course, a psychology course. I took a law school class and a history class. So that was there was a lot of variance with my schedule. But I can mention that 3 years ago, I did the summer study program too. So I was pretty lucky to be able to do 2 programs. And with those programs, I used them for GEs. So those are really helpful in helping me finish up GEs without having to do them during the normal school year. But I think there's a lot of variety with the courses at any university in the world.
No, definitely. And also glad that you shared. So it was a UCLA summer travel study programs that you did?
Yeah, it was the German cities one in the summer of 2017.
Okay, great. So yeah, lots of different options. You're not by any means restricted to taking history courses abroad as a history major. You can do a broad range of really anything. And another question, so if you decide to do departmental honors, can we also work on that abroad? So I'm assuming this is related to history department, specifically departmental honors. That is a great question for your history department advisor. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like related to their honors departmentally. So I would recommend connecting with your history advisor for that.
It looks like there's a follow-up question for me as well, Eric, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go for
So
it.
it sounds like students want to know if I have any insight about the Paris and Rome travel study programs. The travel study program in Paris is another really active option. So that one is really good if you're a hands-on learner, if you do better experiencing things outside in the city, moving around. It's extremely active. So you don't have any standard lecture classroom time. You're actually doing walking tours throughout Paris for the entire program. So the faculty leaders, they take you through the city, through the streets of Paris, showing you really important, architectural sites or historical locations throughout the city. And so for at least like 3 or 4 hours a day, you're out physically walking through the streets of Paris. Occasionally they'll do other, site visits or locations where you can sit in a park and have a picnic. So that's another really good opportunity if you're looking for a lot of group bonding. And the faculty director for that program, Professor Teo Ruiz, has been doing it for so long. He's an institution at UCLA. So he may be, retiring and moving away from the program in the future. So if you're really interested in that one, I would recommend doing it sooner rather than later. But his co-director is also really excellent, and she was a UCLA teaching assistant and is now a faculty member at Clemson. So she's continuing on the program, even though she's moved away from UCLA. The history program in Rome is actually a joint departmental program with the classics department. So it does focus a little bit more on antiquity, and they go to like Pompeii and visit a lot of really important historic sites. So that one you actually have the choice whether you want to receive history or classics credit. It's a really good option for anyone who might be, joint majoring or majoring and minoring in those two units. The new program, the history food program, that one we didn't have a slide about because it's brand new. We just finalized the credit. It will be upper division history, but that program will really focus on food law and traveling to different locations around Pisa, farms, cheesemongers, different places where they produce food to learn about how that has evolved across history. And so it'll be a joint program in structures from the law school actually at UCLA and the history department.
Thank you, Danielle. So I saw two questions coming in. One asking, are there any music courses offered? I'm not sure if there's any in travel study. Do you have any perspective on that for those programs, Danielle?
Currently, we don't have any music courses available for travel study. I would recommend if you really wanted music credit at this point to maybe check UCEAP. We add new programs for travel study every year, but it's dependent on the department developing it, and we haven't received any new program proposals from music yet.
Yeah, definitely check out the UCEAP programs, particularly university immersion programs, because most of the time when you're doing a university program like that, they offer you courses in a broad range of departments that often they have that sort of mirror what's available at UCLA. So they would have a psychology department, a philosophy, history department, and it's very possible that they would have a music department that might allow students to take music courses. And then we have a question about if we are new transfers, how would GPA requirements affect us? So for new transfers, I can speak to the UCEAP programs. Although there are GPA requirements, many programs are able to accept a transferred GPA instead of a UC GPA if you simply just don't have one yet. So if you're in the process of needing to apply for a program right now and you don't yet have a UC GPA, you can check with the IEO office and the advisor to see would a transfer GPA be accepted for this program, or am I required to have a UC GPA? We're able to check on that information for you if it's not clear in the application instructions. And then for travel study, I believe they don't have a GPA requirement, correct?
Correct. So for us, it's just as long as you're in good academic standing at whatever your institution is. So if you're a new transfer, we would look at your GPA from prior to UCLA if you haven't yet completed the full year at UCLA. Otherwise, we'll look at your most recent term GPA. We do check just to make sure that you have an approximate 2.0 at the time you're traveling, just to make sure things are going well for you academically and you're prepared to be able to handle the curriculum on travel study. Since it is very fast paced and rigorous, we want to make sure that you're doing well and able to adapt to that environment.
And we just have a few minutes left. So I'll go ahead and just add, I don't see any other questions that came in yet, but feel free to add one if you would like. I have a question for you, Jungi. Do you have any advice for students who are interested in study abroad? In terms of like applying or just going for it, like what advice would you share?
Yeah, go for it. Number one. I wish I went to this kind of panel before, because I actually didn't look up anything about doing the history requirements. I just kind of went and then figured it out later. So I guess my recommendation is, make sure you have your major requirements set up, and also make sure to, just keep in mind that you're probably gonna, if you need to do a history class or not, you're at your university. But if you're gonna do an immersion program, well, every university has a history program. But general advice, go somewhere that really interests you. This study abroad goes really fast. It's the unfortunate part of it, but it's also an amazing experience.
Thank you for sharing that, and really thank you for being here and continuing to kind of share that message with our students who are exploring their options for study abroad. So we'll be wrapping it up. I see one last question in here that we can address about, are there any specific grants or scholarships for travel study? Danielle, would you like to answer that one?
Sure. There's also another question about where do I access this if I missed the beginning. So for that piece of it, please check out the GLOW website. There's an on-demand section where it will be recorded and posted by the end of the week, so you can catch up on the beginning. For travel study, there are some specific scholarships and grants actually. So there is a travel study scholarship that would require a service component to it. It would be 50% of your program fee. And then in exchange, when you return, so you do have to be at least, a junior returning to campus, you would work with our office to do things like this, attend panels, do presentations, and help us with marketing efforts for the travel study program specifically, and then also just generally helping with the office. So that's a really good option. And then for history students, there also are history major scholarships available for the travel study programs as well. Typically, Professor Ruiz is generous enough to fund some scholarship opportunities for Paris, but also for the Greece program as well. So I would recommend checking the history department's website. They manage that scholarship process directly. We have a lot of other resources on our travel study page for scholarships. And then just generally speaking, I'll plug, there is a financial aid session actually this afternoon, I believe at 4:30. It's on the GLOW schedule if you want to check. I would highly recommend you attend that for more financial aid information, or watch it later on at the end of this week if you're not able to make it today.
And if you want more information about GLOW and study abroad program updates and communication, we have this QR code as well as the bit.ly link that I've just dropped in the chat for your reference. And also the last thing will be our contact information for the study abroad office. So we have virtual drop-in advising if you have quick questions about study abroad. Those are posted on our website, as well as the link to access it. And although we have our phone number listed here, the best way to get in contact with us at this time is either the drop-in advising or our email listed there. If you have questions specifically about UCEAP programs, my contact information is listed there. I'm the advisor for Germany, the UK, Ireland, the Netherlands, Belgium, France. I feel like I'm forgetting one. But most of the European programs through UCEAP are, I advise for them. So if you have specific questions about those, definitely send me an email. We can do a one-on-one advising. And yeah, so that is about all the time that we have. This is recorded and will be posted later at the GLOW website, as Danielle had mentioned. But really thank you again to Jungi for being our returnee panelist. And thank you all so much for participating in this webinar today.